for 9 games with this really single exception.
But there is no such assumption in Olympiads.
I'm talking about European Team Championship and European Club Cup.
Okay,
Yes, but they have ratings already. You don't play in those things if you're unrated.
most European, but not Olympiad. I think Olympiad there was still under.
Oh, Olympiad is, oh yes.
We had
okay.
unrated players, yeah.
We have unrated players.
And okay, since Michalis and they have given me the answer that 9 is a recommendation.
Yes.
Then I'm in favor of supporting this, deleting this.
I think also that mathematically 7 games in an Olympiad can be accepted when you expect that a player, an unrated player, will be consistent with his expected level, will bring results which are not crazy results, beat a grandmaster and then lose from a lower rated player. So mathematically it can be accepted.
I
with
don't
lower
understand
game.
that point.
If you have a player who can play consistently with his level, the expected result, if you knew his rating, is actually the result that you get from him, then you can rate him with less games. You don't need a bigger sample.
But why is that more true in an Olympiad?
Because we expect that the players who play in an Olympiad, they have received some training lessons, they are under the, okay.
Yeah.
don't
Now
continue.
Michalis understand. Okay. All right. So we go with the flow to delete this. All right. Okay. Go ahead.
And, well, that's it for this part.
All right. Then we have a subcommittee to check the wordings.
Yeah.
All right, including the new provisions that we have gone through, and then make copies and we will discuss them in the next session of the QC. All right, we have Walter, Anil, of course Stuart and you. I think 4 of you is enough. Sufficient, yes, for the rating regulations. Okay.
The word, to make a proper word.
Yeah.
Nothing controversial, I hope.
Maybe just 3 is better.
Even three.
Walter, Stuart, Nick.
Yeah.
Next.
Well, let's get a better results with him.
Report on rapid and blitz ratings. I haven't done my homework here. I've just quickly looked, and there are, so far as I can see, there are not as many as we might have hoped, but there are some, and they seem to have been rated thoroughly sensibly. I never doubted that. Vladimir, do you have anything?
For today's rating list, the new list, how is it? Has there been an increase?
I think no, we are stuck on some level which is something around 100 for both of the rating lists. And actually, after popularizing it after July, I mean, putting into the official list, it's too early to say about any trends down or upwards. It's only the 2nd month, so I think we should speak about make a real report later, because now we have nothing to present. There is no increase and there is no decrease. It's on the same level as it was in May or in March.
Ignatius, can you take it back to Nigel and other members of the PB to extend the free rating for Blitz and Rapid through 2013?
The slower this goes, I think the chances of it being free is there.
Well, I think if you start charging for it, it will die.
Yeah.
One thing I have heard is that even though FIDE are not charging, some federations are, which is unhelpful.
Yeah. Okay, can we move on?
Yes.
Titus.
Right. Okay. Oh, well, we can't do the first one because Stuart's gone, which is a shame because we never do the first one. And I was very keen to put this EGM type. Oh, by the way,
That's something next.
where is Bartek?
He's not here.
He has to play today.
He's
He has to play.
but he's on this commission.
Okay.
But do you know?
Oh dear. Right. Well, the 2 central people are not here. some years ago, Stuart put together detailed regulations for an EGM title. Those detailed regulations are at present missing, which is embarrassing. However, they are very simple. They are very close to the GM regulations, and you add 200 points to everything. A few other small details. The logic is very simple. There are now a large number of grandmasters, and some people think it would be nice to have a new title to differentiate the really top ones.
Did you get this questionnaire?
Yes, but that's not the thing.
Okay.
The questionnaire was a disastrous attempt, which never happened, to get the views of grandmasters. It's like herding cats. So the reason I thought it would be nice to talk about the EGM first is that it seems to me the whole system works from the top down. First you have in your head what the top title is, and then you think about what the ones underneath are. However, we can't talk about the top one now. So,
we can. Why not?
well, because it's Stuart's baby, and Bartek is supposed to be the representative of the Grandmasters, because a lot of the Grandmasters do not want this,
Oh,
for the understandable reason that at the moment they are the best thing there is, and many of them know they would never get the EGM, so then they would be the second best thing, and they prefer to be the best thing. In fact, my idea on the questionnaire was much simpler than that. I wanted to ask them, do you think there should be a superior title? And the answers could be yes, or no, or yes, but only if I think it's at a level where I might get it, which I suspect is in truth the real answer. So probably if we go with this, there will be opposition from the middling ranks of Grandmasters. Do we care? I don't know. Does the General Assembly care? I don't know.
Nick,
Yes.
can we have a show of hands here what the general impression is about an extra layer of titles?
whatever the name of the title, those in favor of a new title higher than the current Grandmaster title, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those against. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8.
Why not?
That's about
Why-
what we've been finding.
Just one sentence.
Yes?
The main problem to introduce new titles is to give for players inactive or less active this title also. I mean world champion, challenger, candidate, participant in candidate matches, and so on. It is a big problem. Immediately we have to add to give about 100 titles for not active players,
Nobody wants that.
or active but not so much. It is the problem.
will come up with the proposal.
Right.
You know,
So-
we
but there
cannot
are
start
solutions.
from the beginning and give the first title just now. We must accept all world champions still alive and
And
all
this is something else.
and so on.
I think that the first question to be answered is, if there is this new title, how many players we target from those that we know already that are entitled to this title? For example, when I was making for myself a system, I found 70. I found the criteria to distinguish 70 grandmasters with something special.
Yeah, he's talking about inactive. Say that.
I think we're going to disenfranchise our highest level players, our grandmasters, is what we're going to do. We're going to create another level of titles that really isn't going to bring any value, I think, to the organization.
I mean, Stuart should be saying this, but one value is there will be EGM, so many more high tournaments will be able to offer norms, EGM norms, and that will be interesting.
Igor.
I think immediately after accepting this proposal, there will be another proposal We don't hear. Speak up, speak up.
I think immediately after accepting this proposal, there will be another proposal, because women also will wish to have such.
Oh, I think that was, yes, that's not a problem.
How?
I think the super GMs or whatever they are, they know who they are. We have a rating list that sort of gives us a number, and that's pretty clear who the top players are. And as far as elite tournaments, the top guys are already invited to those tournaments. So it's already a calculus that's done. So I don't know that we need to add an extra layer of nomenclature to the system. I remember this coming up in '86, and they wanted a new chess marshal, and it just thought that diluting the titles was not helpful, and I think that same reasoning stands now.
Since Stuart is not here, I'm ready to postpone this, defer this to the next session. And we will inform Bartek
The next
also
year, definitely.
that if he wants, he should be there.
For the next
Remember also, this is not the first time we are talking about this kind of thing. I remember it was 4 years ago. It has been put also to the qualification commission, and already at that time we said no, and we had the same reasons why we don't want this super, I don't know why.
No, with respect, that was not the reason we said no. The reason we said no was the ACP were opposed, and our chairman was told to do what the
This is
ACP
what
wanted.
you interpreted.
You recall what?
I interpreted differently.
Yeah. Okay, we defer this, and that is the last chance we will
Yes.
speak about it. Okay, next.
And now the other thing that has been put to every QC meeting for a while and never quite gets discussed, and this is mine. And it is about direct titles and just an attempt to make some logic out of what has developed into a rather chaotic system. And this you do have in your sheets of paper.
Just general issues.
I'm sorry, it's here.
Which is getting ready for what you want.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Sheet 13.
Here we are, yes. And I wonder if I can get it up on the screen. No, sorry. Has everyone found the piece of paper? I'm sorry, it's stuck in
Sheet
the middle.
number 13, I just want to get an assurance from Nick that his proposal of the step down levels,
Yes.
all right, there is no lowering of the title
Oh,
over the existing.
correct.
ones. Yes, I think so.
if anything, it's hiring the levels.
Okay,
Sorry, which way around lowering?
that means someone who is in this category normally gets an FM, but
Yeah.
because of your new proposal, he only gets CM.
That happens,
That happens?
yes. And the reason this happens is that in all cases I have suggested that a continental title or a result in a continental event is worth less than one level less than the result in a world event. To me this is logical.
Sounds good.
And that a level in a subcontinental event is one lower than a continental. Well, we all know what the continents are. There are 4 of them. Anything else I have suggested is a subcontinent. Well, since I imagine everyone has not had the chance to go through this to see how it works, it probably doesn't make sense to try and do it at this moment. If people could look at it before the next session, that would be helpful.
Mr.
And
Chair?
yes,
Can I just say something in favour? I've read the document and I'm in favour of it. It's only to be consistent because the current regulations have got specific mention of places like ASEAN, Arab and other subcontinents. Now, whether you take them out or put something in which defines what a subcontinent is, we must make a decision one way or the other so that we all know where we stand.
yes. So, for instance, there is a request we will come to from Oceania for some direct titles. Whether they'll get it is not the point, but we would be able to look at it in this framework and say, is Oceania a valid subcontinent? If the answer is yes, then the titles speak for themselves, no more discussion. We would not have to look at it individually and say, do they deserve an FM, do they deserve a CM? It would be in the framework, yes or no.
Nick, from level 2 to level 4, you have 3 titles. Can you explain what this means? Gold, silver, bronze. You mentioned level 2, GM norm, IM title, IM norm.
Yes, it's all as in level 1, where so the first. So in level 2, GM norm is what you get for a gold, i.e. coming first. An IM title
Is the first maximum 3 players.
yes, indeed.
And
so-
silver or bronze is IM norm. Okay, now I understand
Yes.
how it works.
Yes, sorry, there's a bit of shorthand here. I mean, one of the big changes, which I know will not be popular, is I have suggested that an under-8 champion should not get the same title as an under-16 champion. At the moment, junior is junior, or youth technically, and they all get the same, which means that we have some horribly weak 8-year-old FMs, and we get more every year because we keep getting more titles.
So Nick, what about the existing events like the Olympiads, the World Cups, the zoners? How do you treat zoners, sub-zoners?
They are subcontinental, all of them.
The sub-zoners and zoners are subcontinental.
Yes, that's the only level there is below continents.
And the Olympiad, huh?
Exactly.
As it is.
Yes, the Olympiad is a special case.
The Arab,
Yes. The Arab is a tricky one, even though it covers more than one continent. To me, each player, as far as I'm concerned, belongs in only one continent. I don't think they should have 2 bites at different continents. So I'm calling Arab and ASEAN subcontinents.
And where are the continental team events? In the results list.
General principles. The 4th general principle is this framework does not cover special cases such as World Cups, Olympiads and team events. They do not fit in easily.
so what does this sentence mean? Does it mean that these events are out
No,
or
of course.
they exist?
No, of course not. It means that they will.
They exist.
Yes, they will still need.
Yeah.
They will still need something, and they don't fit in.
Okay.
In order to communicate this table better, perhaps we should make a cross-reference table to compare the current situation and the proposed one.
I was hoping that people doing their homework would educate themselves by doing that, because then they'll understand it better than if it's fed to them. That was my thinking. maybe it was optimistic.
Yes, David.
A general comment which also ties in with the next item, which mentions a request for Oceania titles. The issue with an approach where you say we're going to apply consistency to these different levels, world, continent, subcontinents, is whether or not the entities that you're applying that consistency to, like subcontinents, are all actually of equal strength, or even roughly equal strength. We've had problems in the past with Oceania being a relatively weak subzone, or whatever it's called, and with lots of titles being handed out. The Australian Chess Federation thinks that the current balance is about right, and we don't support having extra Oceania titles added, because we don't think the zone is strong enough to merit them. So that's, I'm sort of thinking that maybe this needs to be premised on more of an attempt to get the zones at the same playing levels, rather than having zones like Oceania, which are relatively weak compared to some of the other zones at that level, and probably will be for a long time.
I did consider that, putting in 4 levels rather than 3,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't workable. So Oceania will either have to be a subcontinent or nothing.
Even at subcontinent level, I would still have concerns.
I understand that.
Yeah.
The problem is that we're giving the IM and other titles to the zonal already. So what we're doing now is penalising our youth, because the youth don't get the equivalent competition. They have to go to the Continental Championship, which is a long, long way away. So if we're going to be consistent, we have to take the titles off the adult zonal as well. Because we want junior zonals and junior titles and maybe seniors.
That certainly would be consistent, and this isn't the time to discuss it, but it's far from obvious that those titles are warranted.
Has this been circulated to the Continental President?
No, it is not. I mean, it would have been, but this is the 4th meeting where we've attempted to discuss it. I felt the QC ought to look at it first, and that has not happened. I'd like it to get as wide circulation as possible.
I think the idea is very good to make such a thing, but details should be prepared. There are a lot of details, it is not easy to recognize immediately.
Okay, I think it's all here, but I understand what you're saying.
Walter?
Oh, like you mentioned that the world senior gets a gold medal. Both men's side and women's side get the WGM. Would that then also be included when we split to 50 and over and 65 and over, both groups, which will happen in 2014?
Haven't gone down to that level of detail.
But there will be 2 groups starting in 2014.
I realise they would both want titles.
Yeah. Can we try to speed this up? I would suggest, Nick, you put this in a Excel sort of format, all right? And then give this to the Continental President. And see whether by the next sitting of our session we can move this and present this to the General Assembly. But in principle, I think this step down is an improvement.
It's more clear and sharp.
But then is there a line to say that there is minimum participation of federation? Is that?
Oh no, because that's in the regulations.
It's in the regulations.
So that's a separate issue entirely.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Let's move on then. Direct titles. It's more or less in your structure, yes?
It would be, yes.
Yeah.
So are these things we can discuss at this moment? Oceania has asked for youth titles. Well, in fact, can I ask Oceania?
Youth, junior and senior. In the same way that we treat adults at the world level and at the continental level, we should treat all our players equally at the subcontinental level. because they're young children, they're under 20s and the juniors, they're seniors, whatever is applicable to adults can also be applicable to juniors at a lower title level. I thought the objective originally was to introduce this CM title to encourage children, I understand.
I don't think it was actually, but it has done that.
Yeah, well it became popular in the CN and Arab world.
Andre, correct me if I'm wrong, right? I think normally when there is an application request for direct title, normally the tournament, the event would have been in existence already. But this time round there's a request before even this event has taken place. So I'm not so sure. And I would recommend that in order to give these titles, I mean, apart from the structure that Nick has proposed, the tournament should have taken place, and then after 2 or 3 editions, to evaluate whether this is actually well participated, as what Kevin has said.
Just to know the level of competition,
Yes.
the number of participants and the level of competition.
They'll never get it off the ground that way, that's all, because it's a marketing tool. It'll just die. Because we've been waiting 2 years for this to be decided.
Yes, I must say I agree. I think you get the tournament first and then you get the titles.
Just example, you know.
I know it's
The
chicken and
results.
egg, but
The results from last 2 years or 5 years.
And if,
The result must be given.
This is also the reason why the World Student Championship has never been awarded with the Grandmaster Card.
correct.
That's the reason.
All right, in the year 2000, I was technical delegate from FIDE to the World
World
Students University Championships, and I saw several grandmasters there, and I saw the potential of this event. Now, in the recent years, this event has become very strong,
Yeah.
but yet QC never wanted to give direct titles to this.
Yeah. But this is not official, but you know, this is part of official FIDE events.
Yeah.
But
I-
university
it's
is not
not,
official, you know, just additional.
Can we move on?
yes, there has also been a request, which I know very little about, from the Pan American IBCA for direct titles. Does anyone in this room have any particular knowledge of that, this event? Once again, they're asking for it to be given retrospectively.
First of all, to see the results.
Um,
What happened, you know.
no, I don't.
Should we table that until the next meeting? See if there's a representative that can come speak to it?
Yeah.
Now, finally, a much bigger one, and I have just surreptitiously changed a misprint. It's the World and Continental Schools tournaments have asked to be treated on the same basis, and they have the PB's support in this, as the World and Continental Youth. The first thing to say is I have looked back at these, and the schools tournaments are much, much weaker. Say probably only one of the top 20 in the youth under 14 might be expected to play in the schools under 15. I don't understand the difference anyway. Aren't these youths at school?
It's an alternate
I mean,
event.
age cutoff is the difference, that's it.
So it just means, essentially, every year there's now not one youth tournament, youth championship, there are 2. And we're being asked to give the same title to both. Personally, I feel at best we should give a lesser title to the schools, because they're much weaker tournaments.
They already got the titles. It is written in regulation. They got title CM, CM,
Only
FM,
CM.
CM and FA.
No
Also
FM.
one, maybe one of them, but mostly CM. It's a big difference between the level of the both competition, the youth competition and school competition.
Yes, I don't know why, but it definitely is 200 points.
It's not very popular at the moment yet.
So again, the question is, do we give them the titles in order that they can make their event more popular, or do we ask them to have stronger events so they can have the titles?
But it is also not a FIDE competition. It is additional competition. Yes, because you know, in the FIDE competition, this Oceania youth, they can go to the World Under 20, I mean World Junior, and then from World Junior they can, and from World Junior they